Today's ancient witness is from Ezekiel 37, verses 1 through 10. God grabbed me. God's Spirit took me up and set me down in the middle of an open plain strewn with bones. The Creator led me around and among them, a lot of bones. There were bones all over the plain, dry bones, bleached by the sun. I was asked, "Son of man, can these bones live?" I said, "God, only you know that." Then I was told, "Prophesy over these bones, dry bones. Listen to the message of God." God, the Master, told the dry bones, "Watch this. I'm bringing the breath of life to you, and you'll come to life. I'll attach sinews to you, put meat on your bones, cover you with skin, and breathe life into you. You'll come alive, and you'll realize that I am God." I prophesied just as I'd been commanded. As I prophesied, there was a sound, and oh, a rustling. The bones moved and came together, bone to bone. I kept watching. Sinews formed, then muscles on the bones, then skin stretched over them, but they had no breath in them. God said to me, "Prophesy to the breath. Prophesy, Son of Man. Tell the breath, God, the Master says, come from the four winds. Come, breath. Breathe on these slain bodies. Breathe life."
As you had gathered, I'm not real great with extemporaneous preaching. I need my notes. The printer is down, so I'm using my laptop here to help keep me on track. I start out this morning after the reading of our scripture with the question of what do we do with news of devastation and cataclysm? That was the question I kind of pondered quite a bit as I was trying to figure out what message can I bring this morning. We are in our 5th Sunday of Lent. Joyous Easter is just around the corner, but we're not there. We have here in our reading a story, a vision by an ancient Jewish prophet, Ezekiel, that is meant to be hopeful. It's cast against the backdrop of cataclysm and devastation. The prophet envisions a valley where all that can be seen is dryness and lifelessness, littered with dry bones everywhere. Presumably, this is a vision where an old battlefield may have taken place, and the bodies were simply left to rot. A vision not only of calamitous defeat, but it would also have been seen as God's judgment. There is no victory parade, no honoring of the dead, no mourning from beloved family, just senseless devastation and shame and meaninglessness. It's a scene of deep lament, a visual testament of human folly, imperial ambition, and greed, which we know always seems to end badly. The message from Ezekiel comes to us from 2,600 years in the past, after Babylon had sacked Jerusalem in 586 BC, yet it seems to me disturbingly contemporary. All I have to do is close my eyes and imagine the seen not that long ago. The city of Aleppo in Syria, Baghdad in Iraq, which a week ago, Sunday, was the 20th anniversary of the disaster there. Of course, there's Vietnam, the killing fields of Cambodia, the Hiroshima, Auschwitz, the bombed out cities of Dresden. Think of the desolate no man's lands of World War I and our own Civil War battlefields. And that's just war. There's also the atrocities of chattel slavery, native displacement and genocide, global deforestation. We know there is no shortage of examples of human-caused disaster, and I know none of us came to church this morning to hear a litany of disasters. We came here to celebrate and remember good news. That's what we always do when we come on Sunday morning. The prophet and the Gospels themselves, though, never allow us, if we are to call ourselves people of faith, to rest with disaster as the final word, yet also does not allow us to ignore that either. It seems to me that faithful Christianity requires us to do two things simultaneously. One is to unflinchingly and bravely be fully present to human tragedy, and the other is to live and act in sincere belief, a belief so firm that we know it in our bones. It is a kind of knowledge that such ugliness is not the final word. But it has to take a long view for that to be a part of our faith. To be present to both realities is, I find, a tall order. Walter Brueggemann, the Hebrew scholar and lecturer, speaks to this when he said, "The prophetic tasks of the church are to tell the truth to a society that lives in illusion, grieve in a society that practices denial, and express hope in a society that lives in despair." So tell the truth, be open to grieve, and express hope. Again, we have to acknowledge that this is not an easy task. To bear witness to both ugliness and beauty, to lament and grieve, yet stand firm in hope. I'm telling you, this is not a challenge just for the church. It's a challenge for any preacher that stands before a congregation. My main struggle with the message this morning is trying to reconcile realism and a sense of hope. Mind you, it's easy to point to disaster and calamity, as I already said, and you don't need me to tell you that. Nobody comes to church to be reminded of that, and because we read and hear about disasters daily. And if you're like me, it weighs on your spirit. To live faithfully requires us not to look away from the atrocities and destruction around us, and to also not be defeated, depressed, or immobilized. I reflected upon this tension between despair and hope, and it seems to me it's natural to go to the primary source of our faith, Jesus. Did Jesus ever suggest to us that we would be free from disaster, either collectively or personally? Of course, that's a rhetorical question, and you know the answer. The answer is no, never did. One of the defining qualities, I think, about authentic Christianity is that it does not try to escape or transcend the ugliness and pain of the world. If anything, the story of Jesus, the incarnation of God, however you want to understand that, is a story of divine embodied energy entering into the pain and the brokenness of human life. Jesus said things that seem to point us toward, rather than away, the world's troubles. Certainly acknowledge them. As I read the Beatitudes, and I paraphrase them here a little bit, the Beatitudes themselves seem to recognize this. Blessed are those whose hearts are broken, for theirs is the kingdom of God. Blessed are those who feel the world's pain, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are those who don't grasp after power, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who won't settle and say, that's just the way it is, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are you, or those who feel compassion, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the unpretentious, for they shall see God. Blessed are the reconcilers and healers, for they are the children of God. Blessed are those who enter the arena of life, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are the misunderstood and the reviled, for heaven belongs to them and to the prophets that have gone before. Be glad. Again, I took the literal words of the Beatitudes and I sort of, what would be the word, used alternative phrasing so we could sort of get the sense. But with this ending, be glad and rejoice. You're like me, I'm like, how is that possible? To enter into all this brokenness and still be glad. How is it possible to live with joy in a world seemingly filled with dry bones? So I want to make a distinction here. We have the personal dry bones that we know very well, the premature and unfair loss of loved ones, the ending of a marriage, the loss of health, the loss of a career, and so forth. These are dry bone situations whereby all we may be able to do is lament and grieve and feel all the feelings. We can accept the gift of the quiet and steady and loving presence of another trusted human being. Or if the situation is reversed, we can be that presence for others. And at the right time, we can move forward knowing that we will carry the scar and the memory of loss, and it will become a new part of who we are. And then there are the dry bones that are more global, the ones we view from a safe distance yet feel distressed by. The homeless on our streets, the destruction of one nation against another, the burning up of the rainforest, political polarizations, and so forth. And for these more global dry bones reality, there is a sense on these global scales of feeling inept, helpless, like a ghost, or like being trapped inside a house, warm and secure, while outside all hell is breaking loose. And for these more global dry bone realities, though there is no general fix, it can be helpful to keep a few things in mind. Again, it's important to be present by never giving in to denial or, metaphorically speaking, closing the curtains. It's called keeping company with pain, and whether on a personal level, as with a hurting friend, or on a global level, it is some of the most, I think, spiritually difficult as well as spiritually important things we can do. Keeping company with pain. We can also give of our wealth, even if you are well-funded. It may seem like a drop in the ocean, but we can be joyful in the trust that God will honor and multiply what is shared. And in that giving, it is helpful to remember that you are giving as unto Christ, because the Gospels remind us that we truly, really are. We can trust that God has you and I, in this privileged position for a reason, and we can leverage that to serve God. But also we need to remind ourselves we can become overwhelmed. And so we need to take care of ourselves. And those are the things, you've probably heard these before, but let's just remind ourselves this morning. Get out in nature. Practice gratitude. Pray, find time to pray or meditate. Take some breaks from the news. It's okay to look away once in a while. Just don't walk away. And maybe most importantly, while we can recognize that we are somehow mysteriously connected to 8 billion human members of this planet, God is in charge, not us. My wife is quick to remind me of that. And she compels me to say, I am not God. I cannot fix it. We've seen pictures from space. We've been told that for all intents and purposes, the universe is infinite. Something we can't even comprehend. We are told that there are more than 100, maybe up to 200 billion galaxies in the known universe. We are told that we can only perceive 15% of matter, the rest is unperceivable dark matter. And we are told that there are any number of dimensions beyond our 3 or the 4 that we live in. Why do I mention this? I do so because while catastrophe and disaster, symbolized in the dry bones, is our reality, it is also a very small piece of our reality, and it is one we cannot nor should try to escape. But there is a kind of mystery behind the troubles of our times. Something is much greater and beyond, and something transcendent puts temporal chaos and struggles into perspective. One of my favorite scriptures, I think, relates to this feeling I have of immersed in this world of troubles, and yet knowing there is something much, much mysterious and bigger than that. It comes from 2 Corinthians in chapter 4, where Paul says, "But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us." And then Paul speaks of his own dry bones, and he says, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. We always carry around in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may be revealed in our body." And here's the part where the bones come to life for Paul. He says, "Therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light, momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." Knowing the Apostle Paul was willing to enter into the struggles of life, and yet, not just Paul, but everybody we know who does engage, who are in people of faith, we know that they understand they are a part of a much bigger eternal reality, and that gives them the strength to engage. And I hope that's true for us. In the end, I am humbled by it all. And in saying that, I'm declaring I cannot make sense out of the dry bones of human catastrophe, nor should I try. But I trust that there is an eternal force at work that is infinitely wiser, loving, and unifying more than anything you and I can imagine. And for me, That is what allows me to not completely despair, to trust God, and to keep on moving ahead. And in the end, the question we ask, what else can we do? May God give us the strength to embrace the truth and the reality that we are a community and a people of the resurrection. Amen.